two hemispheres of the brain and music. The working of the brain is highly complex. Any activity for occasion moving aside requires contribution by several centers in the mind. There are excellent catalogs that expand about them. Damasceno 1996. Many functions where some centers of the brain participate personally I think are better explained when approached through the psychoenergetic makeup. Just like the functioning of thoughts are in my own understanding not determined by the functioning of elements of the brain but by the status of certain chakras and energy areas. For the purpose of this course, I prefer therefore to focus on the working of both hemispheres of the mind, which is of paramount relevance in virtually any musical expression. The proper hemisphere builds up before birth just a little ahead of the eventually left hemisphere. The operations relating to the right hemisphere seem therefore to play a predominant role for the kid during pregnancy. During all early on youth, the right hemisphere is firmly inspired in its development with what happens between your baby and the mother or other associates. This area of the brain plays a role, among others, in the conception of shapes and everything which will be visual constructive, high-end responsibilities, and also other important processes related to nonverbal communication and emotional development. This hemisphere is designed, for instance, very sensitive to the thoughts carried by speech, the feelings coming from someone else as well as the quality of appearance in a tune or in instrumental music. That's the reason why music therapy, or learning music generally, can make a difference in dealing with this crucial early child years period, since both essentially operate in a nonverbal way. Music, though, extends to way beyond the pre- and nonverbal. Additionally, it is in the right hemisphere, capacities concerning bodily sensations and the feeling awareness of oneself is located. The kept hemisphere is more worried about our logical faculties and reasoning. Each hemisphere corresponds to a new way of browsing the planet, two particular ways of functioning. Both are essential. It remains a question why aspect has provided us with two such hemispheres. Why do we not need an individual unitary brain? The feeling facet of music is actually from the right hemisphere. Feelings, musicality, imaginary aspects, deeper needs, quality of sound, overall sense, even if obviously in our Western society's musical education has for a long time stressed the value of the intellectual approach to music. Consequently, the kept hemisphere of the mind is more employed for writing music, credit score reading, stressing the importance of technical aspects in learning, the composition of the composition, virtuosity, velocity of participating in, detecting errors in participating in, information involving biographical data of any composer or musician, etc., etc. In music remedy as well as in music education, you can reinforce the neglected right brain methodology and activate in this right brain interneuronal relationships for someone who has not possessed the chance to grow up in a host favorable to a harmonious progression or who requires a rebalancing for other reasons. Glaser 2000. The American neuroscientist Damasceno shows that any person cut off from his bodily sensations, for instance following a cerebral lesion credited to an accident, stroke or operation, will see himself also take off from his feelings. Damasceno 1996. The person will in turn have only incomplete access or none of them in any way to his thoughts. This will business lead to the incapacity to use new decisions in life, decisions that would be out of the ordinary routine. The reason behind this is the fact that he will no more have the methods to evaluate the consequences of alternatives, thus becoming struggling to choose sensibly between them. Regardless of the mechanisms underlying the emotions may be, your body is their main stage either immediately or through their representations in the somatosensorial structures of the mind, Damasceno 1999. Taking these thoughts a step further, it is suggested that one types of feelings have a link to more specific areas of the body. Start to see the section on the 5 elements. My research as well as the task of fellow workers led me to assume that our thoughts, as much as our unconscious memory, are actually not area of the mental, even if indeed they definitely do have a solid effect on it. The work of David Bodella, director of the Biosynthesis Institute in Switzerland, is leading in the same route. In his publication, he underlines how much the areas of the body from the chakras match the areas of psychophysical blockages discovered by the task of Wilhelm Reich. While neuroscience has taken about spectacular progress in understanding the functioning of the brain, of thoughts and physical actions, of the unconscious movements of the body like breathing, digestion, activity of the bloodstream or performing of the endocrine glands, there remain numerous questions on the foundation and the localization of phenomena such as thought, consciousness, intuition, and inspiration. While nowadays it is well known which centers of the brain and which areas of the body take part in any feelings, activity, or musical, we still do not know what happens between your activation of specific neurons and the production of an actual image, a melody, a visual, auditory, full sense memory, and inspiration. Neither do we realize how an enthusiasm is translated into an activation of neuronal circuits in the brain. Damasceno may describe awareness as the sensation of a sense and point at the area in the mind where this is recorded, but he involves the conclusion that we now have lots of questions that he cannot answer. What exactly are feelings made of? What exactly are they the appearance of? What lengths can we actually explore them? The crossing of major neuromusical thresholds should have direct consequences on the overall behavior of the individual. My hypothesis is correct. With the crossing of a neuromusical threshold, some regions of the brain should maintain a significant and durable way activated or restored. Structured upon my comprehension of the psychoenergetic links, I'd expect changes in specific regions of the brain regarding the relationship to the physical body, to the matching emotions, to manifestation. All changes in the 4 lower energy centers or chakras would bring in regards to a change in the thyroid chakra, more appearance and therefore less suppression. Changes in the sound could therefore arise, sometimes leading to being able to sing spontaneously. A development towards a more true and direct appearance of thoughts could be observed that would diminish activities which used to conceal painful emotions. A better control of thoughts through the mental level, not only intellectual left brain, and perhaps a larger influx of religious energy, joy, feeling better, calmer, for example,